And the final point that we want to make about this is the call from some politicians to, we believe, infringe on free speech here. The most prominent example of this is the third ranking congressman, Democratic Congressman James Clyburn's call to reinstitute the Fairness Doctrine. Now, the Fairness Doctrine was introduced in 1949 by the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, and basically what it does is it says that anybody who's got a broadcast license, like a radio station, not only do they have to report on important controversial issues, but they have to show both sides of them to be fair. And the problem with this is, I mean, first of all, what are both sides? People are all over the place here. I mean, like there's a centrist view, there's far right, far left, there's any other type. I mean, we know how complicated the political spectrum can be. So, and then of course you've got the issue with who represents the other side. Like if you have somebody on one side, a commentator on one side, then you have to hire somebody on the other side, even if you have found that nobody in your listening area cares to listen to them. In other words, you could end up losing listeners because you're putting out a product by law that nobody wants and everything.
And I think this is basically tied directly to First Amendment issues. I mean, obviously, being with media and broadcast and speech. And stations should be allowed to broadcast whatever they feel as long as it's not obscene and, you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, if the majority of their listeners like to listen to, you know, Rush Limbaugh, Rush Limbaugh, that's how you say it.
Rush Limbaugh.
I'm really bad at pronouncing things. I have trouble doing that, but
if they want to listen to Glenn Beck, if they want to listen to Ed Schultz, if they want to listen to
Al Franken, isn't
Al
it?
Franken. Yeah, he doesn't have a show anymore because he's been elected as a senator. But right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, apparently nobody wanted to listen to him then either. But
well,
anyway,
I think the majority of talk radio is appealing to conservatives anyway.
And so of course Clyburn's a Democrat and he wants to bring this back. By the way, it was actually in 1987 that the FCC abolished the Fairness Doctrine. And ever since then, there have been intermittent calls to bring it back. And this, of course, because of the supposed the rhetoric that was supposed to have incited violence in this case, has caused some people to re-examine speech issues and everything. But what I really want to know about this is, I mean, especially after we've demonstrated that somebody like a Loeffner does not have. I mean, he doesn't have political leanings. He's just completely out of touch with reality. What would fairness have done in this case? And even if
there's even reports though that he really didn't have a lot of outside contact with the outside news sources at all either. I mean, as far as like what he watched, from what I remember reading, that he was he just isolated himself completely, so I don't think it would have made a difference even if he...
Right. And at least advocates of the Fairness Doctrine will say that it's not going to hurt any kind of business in broadcasting, that it won't do any harm to the industry. So if we assume that that's true, then the very same speech that supposedly caused this, it's not going to be gone anyway. And do we think that he was... that if he had just heard enough balance from all different viewpoints, that he's not that he can choose to listen to. By the way, he can choose to listen to whoever or read whoever, watch whoever, whatever. Was that really going to change the mind of somebody who is just so far out of touch anyway? I think that this kind of this is just the wrong time, wrong context for this kind of discussion that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, not only is it the wrong time, it's just a bad idea, period. It's just flat out, it's a violation of First Amendment rights.
Right. And it just seems to me it's just egregious. It's an egregious attempt to spin this into your favorite issue of the day. I mean, we saw with the magazine, not Clip.
Yes.
regulation, and now we've got this taking advantage of a situation for something that really doesn't have anything to do with the issue at hand, with what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are just waiting for something like this to happen, like I talked about before, regarding the attempts to bash Palin and the Tea Party and everything like that. You know, some people are just chomping at the bit with their own issues, waiting for an event to happen that they can just really launch on and use to fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think people who want to bring back the fairness doctrine are looking at this as trying to justify why it needs to be in place, and clearly anybody who's thinking, who actually looks at it, you know, who's neutral on the issue, would realize that the fairness doctrine, you know, not only wouldn't make a difference here, but it's just a bad idea overall. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe you know the
not even logical to put into place. You can't.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it might work out good as you know, maybe if you're talking about media, like, you know, TV, you know, broadcast media that's actually not cable, because cable isn't regulated by the FCC as far as certain things.
Not in the same way that.
Not in the same way as broadcast. You know, not like, you know, I'm talking about, you know, big 3 channels. You know, you have
exactly
coming down. Do they even do that anymore? I know they had that box that they were talking about for people. But
I don't even know.
You don't remember? We have cable, so. Anyway, that's I just think it's a bad idea. What I was talking about now, what I was talking about was possibly making news channels more centrist instead of more left leaning. Because I would say that if you're right wing, you know, most people would agree that news channels on, you know, I wouldn't say Fox News, but you know, MSNBC, NBC, CNN, other things like that, you know, are left leaning.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, you've got that. You've got the left there. You've got the right, and in the radio, and you've got all kinds, everything that you can imagine on the internet, and it's all a lot of free speech and ideas and information. And I don't exactly think that that's a bad thing, and I don't think that the fairness doctrine in any way can regulate mm-hmm. anything negative out of that. And the true test, really, of if we respect rights, like right to free speech, is when we are basically when we allow people to say things that we don't like or disagree with. Mm-hmm. And in this case, this again has nothing to do with the violence that took place. It's just somebody trying to take advantage of a situation and try to spin it for their own use. So, mm-hmm. and that kind of, and personally, that I find that kind of thing kind of disgusting. I think this is a tragedy, and we should really be, you know, remembering the people and praying for the families of the people who were.
People who try to immediately take this and spin it into a political thing are really nothing more than cockroaches just waiting for something to happen, you know. And they're, you know, have low standards, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, just, I'm sure most of you can come to that conclusion, but on your own. But I think that about wraps it up.
Those are the big issues that we wanted to touch on relating to this. So we thank you for watching again, and tomorrow is Martin Luther King Day, so mm-hmm. Happy Martin Luther King Day to you, and we will be on next week, and hope that you will tune in for our next episode.
Mm-hmm. Peace.